Ladies and gentlemen of the press, good morning. The visit of Prime Minister Harper to the Philippines, the highest level visit from Canada. More than 800,000 Filipinos living in countries work together in order. Canada recognizes the economic gains resulting from our efforts to build our defense and security capabilities, who have not only assimilated, we look forward to increasing trade and investment.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. I'd like to begin by discussing an emerging Asian tiger in our country. Indeed, for 2 years, hardworking Filipino men and women are remiss if I did not take a moment to recognize the particular contribution of our country's first Filipino-Canadian senator, Senator Tobias Verga Jr., economic growth. With implementation assist international summits over the past couple of years as we promote our shared values of democracy, good governance, faire avancer les droits des femmes et des filles en Asie du Sud-Est. These funds will
Your Excellencies, with your kind indulgence, we are taking 2 questions for each of you from the members of the press.
Hello, Prime Minister. It's a Remembrance Day type question since we are going to be in Saiwan Cemetery tomorrow. It's been 2 years since your government conducted its review of the last post fund, and 12 years since that fund's amounts for grave markers and funerals has been revised. And I wonder, how does it make you feel when you hear that 2/3 of needy veterans are being rejected by the last post fund because of eligibility requirements that have not been revised in so many years? How does it make you feel?
Well, let me just say that the Government of Canada puts, as you know, a very high priority on care for our veterans. This government has made enormous billions of dollars of new investments in programs, particularly for the most needy veterans. Obviously, those programs are under constant review, and we will continue to assess their suitability going forward. Je peux le répéter en français. La protection et l'état de nos anciens combattants sont des priorités très élevées pour notre gouvernement. Notre gouvernement investit littéralement des milliards de nouveaux dollars dans des programmes pour nos anciens combattants et nous sommes en train constamment d'examiner ces programmes pour assurer les besoins et pour assurer si les programmes sont appropriés pour les besoins d'aujourd'hui.
Next question, David Aiken, Sun News.
Good afternoon. Prime Minister, I wonder if I could hear your thoughts about China a little more. You've observed that you believe we could see increasing political freedom there, or pressures for increasing political freedom there as a result of new prosperity, primarily from China's middle class. I wonder if you could expand on that a little, and also, given the fact that we're about to see some changes in China's leadership, could you reflect on that and mix it all together for how that's going to affect Canada-China relations going forward from this point on a range of issues?
Yeah, I think as I've said before, I think it's at this point difficult to speculate on what the next generation of leadership means in terms of specific change generally or for Canada. I would say that at this point our assessment is probably it's more continuity than change, but one will be examining that carefully. And of course, you know, part of our engagement with China, as with the entire world, involves the promotion of our basic values, freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And I do believe that as prosperity grows in countries, pressures and expectations on those matters among populations inevitably increase. Pour le changement de leadership en Chine, c'est difficile de prédire. Jusqu'à maintenant, ça semble être un cas plus de continuité que de changement, mais on va voir. Évidemment, dans notre engagement avec la Chine, comme avec tous les pays du monde, nous faisons en face sur la promotion des valeurs humaines, de la démocratie, la liberté, la primauté des droits et les droits de la personne. Et mon ma certitude est que quand on voit une augmentation de la prospérité à long terme, les pressions pour des améliorations à cet égard vont continuer à augmenter.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now we will have the questions from the Philippine press. From the Philippine Broadcasting Service, Ms. Melanie Valdos.
Good morning, Mr. President. This is the first time in 15 years that a Canadian official visited the country. What is the significance of Prime Minister Harper's visit? And do we expect for more investment from Canada? And since many Filipinos are migrating in Canada, do we see any need for further bilateral cooperation in order to protect our fellow kababayans in Canada?
Thank you for your series of questions. First of all, our ties are increasingly getting closer and closer, primarily because of the increasing people-to-people ties that we have in Canada. At an estimated 800,000, and we have about 10 million of our countrymen outside the country, it represents close to 10%. Therefore, it behooves us to really work closely with the Canadian authorities to ensure, and given the fact that we both share fundamental democratic values, we believe in the importance of both our peoples. We owe this growth in the ties to the very reasonable immigration policies of Canada that have given our countrymen opportunities. Now, the significance of the visit is that we keep saying that the Philippines is open for business under new management. And I think it's a recognition of the changed atmosphere in the Philippines that we are honored by the presence of the Honourable Prime Minister and his delegation. We do see increased commercial trade ties between our countries. Things that hindered the development of those ties in the past under new management will cease to exist. Therefore, it is but logical to assume that the 1.5 billion two-way trade between our countries is just the starting point. And we are very optimistic of growth, not only in the more people-to-people ties, but more importantly, perhaps in trade and business opportunities that will redound to the benefits of both our people and perhaps give the opportunities for advancement here in our shores rather than outside. Canada helps us in this aspect. Thank you.
The next question is from Mimi Gonzalez of Business World.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Sir, my question is on the Memorandum of Understanding on Defense. What kind of equipment are we purchasing, and how will the MOU help us beef up our assets, given the potential flashpoints of the territorial dispute with China and their change of leadership?
Well, the fundamental issue is that we have a lot of outmoded equipment. For instance, I guess the most glaring, I'll give you two glaring examples. One, in terms of our maritime issues, we have 36,000 kilometers of coastline, which excludes the area that has to be observed and surveilled, which is a 200-mile economic zone. Now, we have 132 ships. Most of them are World War II era and older. So even dividing 36,000 over 132 becomes quite an impossibility. Now, Canada is at the forefront of various equipment that redounds to increasing capability, or to increase the capacities and capabilities of our own forces to meet the needs of defense for our country. I cannot go into specifics, lest they be observed by less friendly individuals. But may I also say that, again, for instance, in terms of aircraft, as you know, we have not a solitary single fighter in our inventory. We have, in terms of transport, we now have, I'm pleased to note, 100% increase in our air transport capability, because previously we had one C-130 operational. We now have two. Okay, still a long way to go. So when we are now in a position, because of this understanding, to access the expertise, the skills, and get more value for our money, for the needs that there are legitimate needs to be able to defend our territory and our sovereignty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you, members of the press.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.